We're in Psalm 74, and we're picking it up in verse 6. Have you ever had a moment where you looked around your life and there was such sorrow, such grief, such loss, such devastation, you just couldn't imagine that God had any hand in it or any presence in it, that you just felt like he must have rejected you, and you just wonder, where are you? I've heard people say to me before, I think God's really angry at me. That's the sense of Psalm 74. Where is God? What is he doing? And in that moment, this psalmist does a very smart thing, brilliant thing. He goes to God, lays it out for him, lays out the case. God, why are you this? It seems like this. It seems like you've cast us off forever. It seems like you've forgotten us. And God, would you remember us? So now he is breaking out all the things that have happened that have provoked this sense of despair. And it has to do with the destruction of the temple and the devastation around the city of Jerusalem. We're going to see more of it in a minute. But those experiences have wrought great despair and doubt and a sense of abandonment in the life of this psalmist. And so we can find good company in this psalm when we go through really deep water and God seems to be distant or silent or unresponsive in the moment. So we pick it up today. Yesterday we talked about the guys that were lifting up the axes upon the thick trees. But now, so a man was famous according to as he had lifted up axes upon thick trees. So it used to be trees they were cutting down, but now they break down the carved work thereof at once with axes and hammers. Now they're taking axes and hammers to pillars and to wood construction here in the temple grounds and in the city of Jerusalem. And they find great heroism and delight and celebration in total destruction. Look at verse 7. They've cast fire into thy sanctuary. They've defiled by casting down the dwelling place of thy name to the ground. So they set fire to the very temple or tabernacle or I think that's the word that he uses earlier. Hold on, let me find it. Sanctuary, that's the word, sanctuary. They've destroyed the dwelling place of God, the temple, the worshiping, the gathering place for all the worship of God. They've set it on fire and they've thrown it in pieces down to the ground. Verse 8, they said in their hearts, let us destroy them together. They have burned up all the synagogues of God in the land, all the teaching outposts all throughout the land of Israel. They've gone in and they've set them all on fire. They've destroyed them all. We see not our signs or our flags, our banners, our markers of identity. There is no more any prophet. They've either killed or silenced all those that would have taught the word of God. The land is silent now. We don't have Bible teaching. We don't have worship. We don't have gathering. We don't have a place to sacrifice. We don't have the system that we understood to be the presence of God in our midst. It just seems like God has just evacuated. It just seems like he has departed. Neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. Nobody knows how long this is going to last. We don't know how we got here. We don't know where we are. We don't know when this is over. Oh God, how long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why withdrawest thou thy hand, even thy right hand? Pluck it out of thy bosom. Now let's pause here and let's just talk about this for a minute. The psalmist is bringing as reasons, illustrations. He's bringing evidence to God. He's laying it out. Your sanctuary is devastated. The pillars of construction that were around your temple, they're chopped down. The carved works are destroyed. Your temple's been set on fire. Your enemies are carousing and celebrating their victory, and they're scorning your name. And they have decided to destroy all of the teaching places in the land and all of the signs of our identity. God, how long? So remember, contextually, God forewarned, God determined these events to happen. He was not rejecting his people, he was chastening them. But in the sense that I have of this is that a rebel, a defiant person would not have ever prayed this prayer. This seems to me to be one of those in the remnant, one of those who are a God follower and sincere, faith-filled believer of ancient Israel, saying, Lord, this is incredibly painful. But still, nonetheless, I'm talking to you, Lord. I'm chronicling this. I'm journaling this. I'm writing this out in prayer, and I'm pleading for help and perspective. Lord, I need you. And I love the phrase, how long? The end of verse 9, how long? Verse 10, oh God, how long? How long shall the adversary reproach? Shall the enemy blaspheme thy name? Now look, you're going to see this further into the psalm. The attention, it goes from who we are to, God, this is your name on the chopping block. At first in the psalm, it was we. Look at who we are. God, we are your people. We are your sheep. We are your congregation. We are your inheritance. Me, 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 me. But the attention as you go into prayer turns upward. Lord, you, 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 you. And you see this transition start to happen in verse 10. How long shall the enemy blaspheme your name? Lord, now I'm starting to get a glimpse. Do you see the heart of the psalmist starting to change in prayer? And this is one of the things I want you to take away. When you go to God, even with the wrong framework of your psychological and intellectual world, even when you're thinking wrong, isn't this the last psalm, Psalm 73 too? Until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood. When you go to God, God starts to rearrange your thinking and starts to give you the right perspective. But the questions that are asked in verse 10 and 11, I want to lay those out before you, and I want to give them to you as a powerful tool and a resource and a fair question to ask. The first one is, God, how long? How long do I have to bear this sorrow? How long before you come back? How long will I be sick? How long will I be sad? How long will I be? And you fill in the gaps, okay? And I think embedded in that question is, it's more than just bring this to an end. It's more than just get me out of this. The how long question, I think, is embedded with a sense of surrender. Lord, I am surrendered. I receive your plan. I trust your will. But how long? How long is it going to take? So embedded in that question is not a lot of cynicism. It maybe is a bit of grief and mourning and complaining. Lord, how long? This is hard. This is heavy. But Lord, I'm talking to you. How long means that's not, I tell you what it isn't. How long is certainly not end this immediately. Get me out of this. I want out. God, I'm out. I'm done following you. I tried and you have failed me. Lord, you've disappointed me. I give up. How long is certainly not I quit. How long is, God, this isn't what I expected, but okay, if it's what you intend, if it's what you want me to walk through, if it's your assignment for me right now, then how long? I think embedded in that phrase is a little bit of a request. Can you give me the strength I need for however long this is going to last? So how long is a powerful phrase, how powerful question. How long shall the enemy blaspheme thy name forever? Why? Look at verse 11. Why withdrawest thou thy hand, even thy right hand? Pluck it out of thy bosom. Why? God, why? God, why have you pulled back? And would you just, the sense of your right hand in your bosom is just like it's at rest. It's kind of hidden inside your jacket, coat. And the idea is, could you move into action on our behalf? How long and why? These are questions that devoted followers of God have asked him over the centuries. He has always provided grace in these situations. So don't hesitate to go to God. Nothing wrong with asking him how long. Nothing wrong with asking him why. And then waiting for his answer. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.